Ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, the time has once again come, because Ken and I are back.
I see crystals, and I'm also seeing stars. That's a good thing, right? Seeing stars?
Yeah, you might want to check to see if you got your head bonked recently, buddy, but if the part name is not deceiving, the time has finally come for us to get to Final Fantasy IV. And first off, obviously, the Super Nintendo does not have these graphics. This is the DS intro, but we're also not playing the Super Nintendo version. You see, I have a bit of a bias towards 4, just a bit. And because of that, I wanted to show off the best version of 4 for this LP. We're going into the PSP version, which was released, I want to say, in 2011, 2010-ish?
I'll look that up.
And I should mention that if you're playing along for whatever reason, you can do that on basically any of the 2D versions with this LP. The 3D version, though, you're going to want to do different things because they change strategies.
Oh.
But this is going to be a very different LP for a couple of reasons. First off, this is the first Final Fantasy game we're doing that we've both played. Because even though you toyed around a bit with 2, you never really finished it, and you never played 1 and 3.
I never played 1 or 3, but I definitely have my fair share of experience with this game, which is actually really nice because it'll finally give me something to talk about with these LPs. Because I feel like in the past it's just been you kind of talking and me kind of listening, getting like the lay of how this game works and figuring all this out. But with this one, I've actually had the time to experiment with it and the resources to do so. And with that, I have gained the knowledge of very specific things that make me butthurt about this game, but I have also come to really, really like it in the way that Kyle likes it. It's definitely one of my favorite games in the series.
Favorites in the series is an understatement. I have stated it time and time again. Even though it's overall, by today's standards, a fairly by-the-numbers RPG, Final Fantasy IV is my favorite game in the series. And there's a bit of a bias behind that as well for nostalgia because this was the very first JRPG I ever played. Through the PlayStation version, which is a version I recommend everyone avoid at all costs nowadays. But, God, I love this game.
I can understand.
I love this intro too.
This is actually the first time I've seen the intro, and it's very, very good. I love the cinematics. It's wonderful. The animation's well done too.
It spoils like 2/3 of the game's plot, but goddamn.
Let's see, I think the first time I played this game, it was because you recommended it to me when we first met, and then I picked it up around 2014-ish in the winter, and my god, it was wonderful.
Agreed. Now, some minor disclaimer for this. First off, the PSP version, we're playing with the original soundtrack, not the arrangement, because God, I love the original soundtrack.
I love the original. Keep going. I'll interject later.
And as you can see there, the third option, the game has a bestiary. I am not showing off every enemy in the game. I will be mentioning when there's enemies that are rare to get elsewhere, or at least I'll be trying to. But otherwise, I'm basically just playing straight through it. I'm doing every side quest, but I'm not going for all the rare drops.
Except for one.
Yeah. And minor thing. Part 1 is going to be the worst looking out of the series because my settings were fully optimized for Part 1's recording. Part 2 onwards are going to look a lot better and have a lot more of a stable frame rate. Either way, we meet our main protagonist here, Cecil Harvey, who is a bit reticent because they just had to massacre people at the village of Mysidia. And he doesn't like that.
I don't really know how this works because is this the first crystal? Is it revealed that is this the first crystal job that Cecil has done? Cecil, I've heard it both ways. Is this the first one he's done and he's showing remorse for it, or is this his second or third one and he's starting to realize oh god, this is not good what we're doing?
Well, as we'll find out throughout the game, there are 4 crystals on the world, and all 3 of the other ones are already in their other people's possessions. So this is the first one they've gotten. Cecil, despite being a Dark Knight, doesn't really like getting violent, even though he still had to do it because he respects the king.
Oh, sometimes loyalty sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I believe if there was something about tyrannical... I almost said tyrannitarchal rule, and then I realized that was your name. But tyrannical rule, I feel like I would still rebel, even if it meant even if it was going against like my liege, you know.
Cecil is a bit of a different case because the king was basically his father.
Tis but a scratch.
But oh, no, all right. That's some.
I forgot I did that.
That's some nice.
I forgot I did that.
Oh god.
But apparently as well, monsters have been rising in number as of late, as you can tell by the fact we're getting attacked. Also, nice little graphical detail here, exclusive to the PSP version. The ship gets damaged.
Oh, I never actually noticed that.
Also, you can see the shadow of the propeller. The PSP version has a lot of nice little graphical details like that. But it's time for us to end our mission and land back in Baron.
I definitely like the PSP version more than the original, because I thought the original was really good. But the PSP, it's literally the same exact thing, just with graphic changes, and it has got a bestiary, and it's got the other features, like it has the after years and all that stuff.
Well, you say that, but at the same time, what was the version you played the most? Did you play the original Super Nintendo version or the J2E fan translation?
I played the J2E fan translation.
Okay, so you're basically accustomed to the version this version plays, because the original Super Nintendo version was very dumbed down in difficulty. They got rid of a lot of items that they thought made the game too complicated. They made boss patterns less complicated. It was just an overall easier experience, but it felt a lot blander for that.
But the J2E version changed that.
Yeah, at least the J2E translation. There's also the easy type in Japan, which it's basic. It's barely a game, honestly, because you don't have to do much. And this is Baigen, another one of the king's generals, and apparently he just told the king that we're doubting some of the things he said. Doubting? That was a weird way to say that.
Doubting.
But we're still gonna give him the crystal. And we're dismissed.
And the doubt takes
Cecil's
over.
conscience is getting the better of him. How they turn around like that. And I like the way that Cecil puts this, because this really does seem kind of like an explosion from the king here, because Cecil's basically going, my men are curious, not me. I want to know what's going on. But because we said that, we just got relieved.
To listen to authority.
Damn it!
Oh, dear.
So, we were the leader of the Red Wings for all of 5 minutes, and we already got demoted.
Kicked off.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, this is Kane. As you can tell by the fact he's saying that we've done no wrong, he's a friend of Cecil's. They've been friends since childhood. And there's actually there's a line of dialogue that he says when you talk to him after the scene where he mentions his father as the reason he became a Dragoon. A lot of people, because of that, theorize that he is the son of the Dragoon from 2, but no, he's not.
I don't know. It's weird that people are trying to find connections with all of the Final Fantasies, and that'd be pretty cool if it was possible. But I don't think Zidane and Cloud share any relationship at all.
My big thing is, I think that my personal theory, I'll get more into this whenever we get to the after years, is that Final Fantasy isn't a multiverse, it's a universe, but it's all in different planets.
Yeah, that makes sense. But, well, I mean, in that case, there are 12 different life-supporting planets, too.
Which is possible, given how big our universe is. We don't know how many there are of ours.
Fair.
Either way, as you saw, Kane, because he defended us, was roped in, and we were given a Cornelian signet to deliver to the town of Mist as a mission from the king.
Also, in the J2E fan translation, it's called a bomb ring, and that makes things a lot more.
Yeah, it's
skeptical.
a bit more front on the nose, but
yes,
we'll see what happens with that.
It's just a ring with a bomb monster looking thing on it. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's got like, people like the designs of the bomb monsters, some think they're cute. It's a nice little like charm.
Yeah.
Obviously though, since we kind of just pissed off the king, we want to do this anyway because
don't want to get on his bad. Don't want to get on his bad side.
Don't want an angry father. One thing I'm doing a lot here in the early game, but not doing so much later on, is talking to all of the NPCs. Later on, I change it so that I only talk to those that have key dialogue. Also, I adjusted my options earlier. I put the battle speed up to 2, same with the battle message. And I turned on turn order. This is a PSP exclusive ability where you can press the triangle button to do what you would do in, say, Final Fantasy VII onwards, switch characters' turns.
Ugh. And
it's so useful.
I love that feature. It's great.
It's not in any other versions of 4, and it makes the game so much more approachable in my eyes.
Definitely.
Make sure as well, I'm grabbing every chest I can. I think I missed like 1 or 2, but it doesn't matter for the long run. Early game here, they're basically just things like tents.
Surprise, surprise, I didn't know how to open that door, and I just figured out how to open that door.
Yeah, you can open up that door, but you can't access it for like a third of the game, roughly.
Well, that's dumb.
Either way, we're not leaving for the mission to miss till tomorrow, so I don't know what I was doing there.
You're looking a little lost, Cecil. What are you doing?
I think I meant to cut out that little backtrack because I was like, oh, I need to go up here. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to go down here first. Whoops. I might miss a couple of those because editing this game was kind of a task in of itself because PSP footage and Camtasia don't like each other sometimes, even though I actually had to compress the footage down, so if things look a bit grainy at times, I apologize for that. But let's head on over to our bed. But hey, another person we know.
It's Rosa.
This is Rosa. Rosa and Cecil are
lovers. Not married, but lovers.
At this point, they're
right?
very much into each other, but I don't think either of them have had the courage to really ask each other out yet. Has always been my thing. Because Cecil, God, he loves her, but he is very, not wussy, but kind of cowardly at the start. Doesn't know how to approach her in some ways, I suppose. Also, something I didn't know about for years, the people that we fought in Myst were not killed, they were just put down here in the cells. If he could just get down here so I could talk to him.
Oh my god, I love that. I love it when he was just refusing to talk to you. And the fact that it's a black mage is lovely, because I love how the black mages are in this game.
And hey, look, another character. We got our Cid already, because if it's not obvious by the fact that 3 brought it back, from now on, from 2 onwards, every Final Fantasy has a Cid. And Cid in this game is kind of an uncle to Cecil and Rosa. He lives in the town of Bear right next to the castle.
He is my
favorite.
He's my favorite Cid in the series, except for 7.
Agreed, because he has a good character to him. Though notable weird little difference between this and the Super Nintendo version, they moved where this cutscene happens up 3 spaces. Because obviously since the original game was in 4:3 and not in this kind of 16:9-ish ratio, you could see where the stairwell was from, like, say, where the other stairwells are. Which is a very minor change, but I see why they had to do it. I have played basically every version of 4 at least once, so I'll try to give my best about all the different versions, including some of the bugs in, say, GBA, but let's just go to bed for right now. I don't want to talk about the GBA version.
I love exploiting bugs in JRPGs, especially in 6.
Because I will say, since people say this a lot, 4 GBA is tolerable, especially the PAL version, but the US version has a lot of minor things that just stack up. And here we see Cecil's inner conflicts. He doesn't want to betray who's basically his father, despite having problems with the way the King of Baron's acting recently. Oh yes, this song. This is Rosa's theme. It's called the Theme of Love, and it's not my favorite song in the game, but I love this track. I forget if I've ever confirmed whether or not kids in early school years in Japan actually sang this. I've heard that rumor, but I've never been able to confirm it.
I remember you and I talked about that at one point. It was... I feel like that's really cool because this is one of my favorite songs in 4, and I think it's one of my favorite in the series, actually. The original,
it's such a nice little song.
The original, really, because the orchestration in the original is better than it is in the the amount of layers they put on in the PSP version.
They got a bit too brass heavy for me.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I feel about the difference between the Final Fantasy 12 Gilgamesh fight and the Final Fantasy 5 Gilgamesh fight. I feel like 12 just put in too much to make it sound really intense, and 5 just kind of hit it on the nail. But maybe that's
they also hit the energy right.
Yeah. It's also just kind of like limitations too.
Either way, as Rosa went over there, Cecil's been in a lot of conflict recently, but he's doing his mission anyway, despite her telling him basically not to. And I'll stand for the Final Fantasy National Anthem.
I pledge allegiance to Final Fantasy.
I pledge allegiance to the crystal. Come on.
I pledge allegiance to the crystal of Baron and not the king.
And so, the Dark Knight Cecil was stripped of his command as the captain of the Red Wings. He and the Master Dragoon Kane head towards the Dark Valley for the Village of Mist. I almost said Dark Village for the Valley of Mist. Not too different, honestly. By the way, easily one of the best things about PSP versions is that they keep this at a good text scroll speed. When I was originally thinking of doing this game, at one point, way back when we did Final Fantasy 1, I was testing out the J2E fan translation. This scroll takes like 5 to 10 minutes, somewhere in that range, probably 5 or 7.
I always speed through that one. It takes way too long.
It takes way too long for its own good. With its Royal Air Force Red Wings, Baron soon reigns supreme because we're the only ones that have airships. Suck it, everyone else. We will teabag your cities.
It's kind of like Lindblom in Alexandria. Spitting on...
You're not too far off, honestly.
It's weird, because it's like... The castles up in the mountains are like the high-class rich people, and the people in the mist are like, ha, screw you.
And now we're in the world of the Blue Planet. It's basically what's just called. And oh, well, I forgot to edit something out here.
This Cecil machine.
Whoops.
Cecil machine is broke.
You can tell I meant the transition to the city. I think I was half asleep when I edited this part, I'll be honest.
Well, you still put in more than I do. I need to start bringing my stuff back. Hopefully I'll be able to do that within the next couple months.
Yeah, I can promise the future videos are better edited. Either way, welcome to the town of Baron, where we're going to be doing a bit of stuff. Namely, I want to come up here and get these eye drops, Gnomish Red and Tent. Gnomish Red, if I recall in this game, is still the same as it was in 3, where it's the sight spell. Which is useless to me. But the thing you really want to do here in Baron is get the tents and, what's it called? Bronze hourglass that you can find somewhere else. Also, this is Sid's house. This is his daughter. Sid's a bit of a workaholic.
A bus just came home. Because school for freshmen, but not me. Haha.
Oh, that's right, because you're going into your senior year, aren't you?
That is correct.
Oh, man, good luck with that.
Well, I can show you my list of classes. You probably saw it already, actually.
Oh boy, another dancer. Show me what you got. Fun fact, in the original version and the PlayStation version, she threw her dress off, but not so much here. Not bad. You could do better, though.
No,
here we
what?
go. Much better.
What? Alright.
I approve.
So, did you just take, like, random clips and just put them together? Because that was impressive.
Yeah. I didn't want to do the thing I did the last few games where I went all out with it, but it just almost killed my computer in some ways.
I thought you were going to input, like, a Final Fantasy V joke or something.
I almost did,
because,
I'll be honest.
Because
I was tempted.
That would have been funnier for me, honestly, because the dancers in 5 are super Cadgefragilistic weird.
Yeah, that's also the only dance that I show off that I do some editing with, because 4's dances get some kooky stuff going on in them later on.
I hope you do the one that I think you do.
I might, because I do a few. Either way, now we want to head towards the west, because I did all the stuff I wanted to in Baron. Notable, in the desert, you can run into the sword divers and floating eyes.
Oh
also,
my god, lag.
Yeah, that happens mostly in the first part. Either way, our first enemy for the game is, of course, Goblins, 6 HP, 28 XP, 5 gil. They can drop a potion, a tent, a bronze hourglass, which inflicts stop, and they have a very low chance of dropping a goblin spell, which we can't use, but someone can later on, where if you give it to that person later on, they'll get the ability to use Goblin Punch, which does weak non-elemental damage to an enemy.
I can actually do the calculations on that. But go ahead, Chocobo Forests.
Yeah, the Chocobo Forests. They're again to just help you get around quickly. The white one will restore your MP if you have any. But the big thing is the nest at the top. You can, what's it called? Use a Gashal Greens to summon the fat Chocobo, who will be your item storage. Also, I'm showing off some enemies, more goblins around here just to get the battle mechanics in a bit more. This is the first Final Fantasy to use an active time battle system, so instead of you doing turn-based stuff, you're constantly moving. And because of that, things are a lot more fast-paced. Also, I just used the Darkness ability there. What that does is that it inflicts a high amount of damage to enemies by costing 1/8 of Cecil's HP. I forget the exact damage calculation. It's nothing too important, though. Also important, exclusive to the PSP version, press the select button, and you enter what's known as auto battle. Battle sped up.
I've made mistakes. I've made mistakes by pressing the select button.
Oh, yeah, so have I. And that's incredibly useful because it makes grinding a lot easier. Also, that's another disclaimer. I don't do too much grinding, but I do enough to keep myself stable.
Let's see. I was actually going to do some calculations on the item drops, especially for one later on the game, so I think I'll do it when that one comes around.
I think the damage for darkness is your attack multiplier times your attack power times 1/2, but it does things to everyone. I forget. It's a complicated equation. I don't want to go all into it.
Group attacks are weird. Okay, our next enemy is a sword rat. It has 30 HP. It's immune to Toad and Minnie. It doesn't really have any elemental affinities, and it drops a gold needle. But only 5% of the time.
Yeah, notable though, they will counterattack you if you don't kill them in one shot, so be careful with that. Because I think it's just called needles. It hurts. And someone's talking to us, but we kind of need to continue on to Mist, so we will not leave now. We will instead move forward, despite your warnings. Screw off. Mist is gathering what? Oh,
That was a pretty cool effect. I like that.
First boss, and by the way, I love the boss theme in this game, is the Mist Dragon, 465 HP, 700 XP, 200 gil. Absorbs holy and restorative stuff, so basically anything white magic related. And it can't drop anything, but it actually can drop potions, supposedly. Base strategy for this fight, have Kane jump immediately just to do some extra damage, have Cecil go out after about your second jump, get one last round of normal attacks in, then wait, because the Mist Dragon can do a reformation attack where it splits itself into mists, and if you attack it once doing that, it'll counterattack with a very powerful attack, and you don't want to do that. After which it will reform, after a while rather, it'll reform, in which case you should just go all out.
Yeah. Dragon turned into mist. I actually didn't understand how this battle worked the first time I played it. I didn't know it was time. And something similar happened with a boss a little bit later on in the game. I thought I had to wait, but I apparently had to do something.
Yeah, 4 can be a bit weird with that. One thing I should note is that aside from this boss, every other boss in the game is going to have a largely different pattern in the 3D version, and I'm going to try my best to go over strategies for their DS equivalents. But if I forget, well. Yeah, look at that frame rate. Part 2 onwards is a lot better optimized. And there it goes. Overall, Mist Dragon, not a very hard boss. It's the first boss. You're still getting used to the active time battle mechanics, so they know that, so yeah.
And just like that, we're out.
Yeah, and with that, we're also right next to the town of Mist. Also, I should apologize. Very often on the world map, you're going to see some visual glitches, like some black bars or screen tearing issues even. That's due to my compressor. And
yeah.
The ring's glowing. Oh,
whoa,
boy, what a surprise. The bomb ring had bombs.
I thought they were just pretty. There for decoration.
I do admire the DS, the DS and PSP versions who disguise that somewhat with calling it the Cornelian Signet.
That is true.
But this isn't good. We've seen what bombs can do in the previous games. Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Kane did it.
What?
But the king sent us here because apparently he thinks the summoners here, because that's a thing, this place is inhabited by a lot of summoners, they're dangerous to him for some reason. And that's a child. Uh-oh. Mom's dragon died.
Oh, wow, that's got dark really quickly.
Yeah, people who can summon beasts are called summoners. Duh. Since we killed the dragon, we killed this girl's mother. Kane did it.
Wait, so we killed the Eidolon and therefore killed the mother. So the mother's spirit was the dragon?
I always assume that the summoners use their life force to summon it, and if that life force stream is interrupted, the person will die.
That's good point.
And Kane wants to kill the kid because of the king orders, but Cecil's saying, no, it's a child, dumbass. But Kane realized Cecil would say that, and he wants to help us, so we're going to try and take this kid and get the hell out of here.
Man, that's some lag.
Yeah, I apologize, people, but it's only in the first part. There's still going to be some frame drops later on, but they're going to be towards the 30 range instead from the 20, from the 30 to the 20.
Thank you for giving me your optimized settings when I first got the PSSP. You might I'll have to scroll back up through the Discord chat and re-optimize because I have to get it on my desktop now.
Yeah. Originally, I was trying to record this with my remote Joy Lite with my actual PSP, but it just wasn't working out too well, so I'm using an emulator for it.
Don't attack the child.
Girl, let's go.
Oh.
Summon. Ah, can't be. That
okay.
Nice pecs, dude. You can get in the air.
Ow.
That didn't do too much. Yeah, that was pretty same. But, oh.
Who knew there was a fault line right there?
Yeah, that's pretty inconvenient, isn't it? Well, that's a sudden mountain range that wasn't there before. This girl has a lot of power to her. But she's safe, but where's Kane?
Dead.
I was actually trying to get him to jump into the air to give him an explanation as to why he wasn't here.
That'd be funny. Just like, surprise!
He's just gone. And he left our party because of that. One thing I should note, whenever a character is about to leave the party, and I know they are, I am unequipping all their stuff. So all of Kane's equipment is actually in my inventory right now. But I'm not going to tell you when that's going to happen for people who haven't seen the game before because I don't want to spoil the story for them. But with that, we're going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2, we'll be entering the town of Kaipo and hopefully finding an inn where we can have this little girl rest because she's been through a lot in the past. She's been through a lot in the past 4 minutes. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys then.
Goodbye.